Good evening, everyone. Our budget workshop meeting ran a little bit long. Those are the vicissitudes of trying to do a good budget for the citizens of Sumter. Now I'd like to call the regular meeting of Sumter County Council to order. Ms. V, would you please give us an invocation? Let us all stand, please.
Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for a successful budget workshop. We acknowledge you as the one in whom we live and have our being, and the earth is yours and the fullness thereof. We just thank you for what you have blessed Sumter with, and we ask that you continue to bless us and give us the means by which to come up by the end of this budget cycle, that we will be able to have a good budget and a balanced budget and be able to satisfy a lot of the needs that are before us. And as we approach the second meeting, we invite your presence and ask that you help us to, and give us wisdom. We thank you for having a great council that we can agree to disagree and still love each other and have good and fruitful conversations to come to great debates and come to a united end. We thank you for that, Father. And as we go through every item, we ask you to give us that understanding and wisdom that we need to make sound decisions. These and all blessings we thank and ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. At this point, I would normally lead everyone here in our Pledge of Allegiance. We are going to change the way we do the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Veterans Affairs Director came to me and asked if we could start recognizing our Sumter veterans by having a veteran from each of our districts on a rotating basis lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, we have veteran Johnny Goodley. He served our county in the United States Army as an infantry sergeant. Veteran Goodley is a Vietnam War veteran, and some of his achievements include the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, the National Parachute Badge, the National Defense Medal, the Combat Entryman Badge, the Army Commendation Medal, Parachute Badge, and the Purple Heart Medal. He retired from the U.S. Postal Service in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and he is currently a member of the Sumter County Veterans Association, the General George L. Mabry Jr. Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 817, and the South Carolina Combat Veterans Group, Columbia Chapter. He is married to Mrs. Ella Mae Goodley, and they have been married for the past 50 years. They have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. He currently lives in Sumter County District 6. Thank you for your service, Mr. Goodley, and if you would come to the podium, please, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order.
Mr. Goodley. On behalf of our County Council, I'd like to present you with the certificate of appreciation. United States veteran Johnny Goodley, in recognition of your tireless efforts in support of our United States Armed Forces, your dedication to our country and its military is commendable and an honorable addition to the fight for freedom throughout the world. Thank you. Honoring all who serve, Sumter County Council and Sumter County Veterans Affairs, dated this 13th day of April 2021. Thank you. as I stated, Ms. Valerie will choose a veteran from each district on a rotational basis, and each council member will get to do exactly what I did for the veterans from their district. So, thank you, Ms. Valerie. Okay, any changes to the agenda, Ms. B?
No, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have approval for the agenda and the discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda? Aye. All opposed. Have a motion to approve our minutes for our regular meeting of Tuesday, March 23rd.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Item number 6, land use matters. Ms. Rudman, RZ 2105, 1765 North Main Street, first reading.
My staff again tonight. RZ 2105 at 1765 North Main Street is a request by Leroy Lane Jr., the property owner, to rezone approximately 2.23 acres of land from agricultural conservation and neighborhood commercial to general commercial. The property is located on the east side of North Main Street, just a little bit north of the intersection of Queen Chapel Road and North Main, where Jefferson Road also trunks into Queen Chapel. This is kind of one of those primary east-west conduits from North Main Street all the way through to Thomas Sumter Highway. As you can see, for some reason, it is currently split zone. Part of it's neighborhood commercial and part of it's agricultural conservation. Did some historical research. I'm not quite certain why that is the way that it is, but it happens to be that way. And Mr. Lane is really seeking to change the zoning designation on the property in an effort to make it more marketable. It is influenced by a priority commercial mixed-use node. This is a priority investment area in the suburban development planning area in the comprehensive land use plan. These areas are identified on the map to locate future high-quality commercial development or mixed-use commercial residential development, where we look at design and impact and layout on adjacent uses. These are most commonly located at major intersections and our transportation corridors, such as this particular location. When we look at the existing pattern of development on the property and around it, just north of it is actually a motel on the two adjacent parcels. And then to the south of it is a tree service, which is also part of an owner-occupied property, as well as a special events wedding venue just further south of it. There is some housing across the street and further south, and it's directly across from the vocational rehab facility. The undeveloped parcel that you see on the southwestern corner of the intersection of Jefferson Road or Queen Chapel and North Main actually butts up against the Beckton-Dickinson properties. This is fundamentally how the property looks. It's wooded. It doesn't really have anything on it. The existing dwellings that were on the property were removed earlier this year, so it's a vacant, undeveloped land at this point. Planning Commission does recommend approval of this request. The parcel does have primary frontage on one of our major arterial highways, and the existing pattern of development is that of a commercial node. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Move approval, first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have first reading on RZ 2105. Any discussion?
Just one question.
Mr. Edens?
Did planning recommend rezoning that entire tract TC or just 300-foot depth?
He doesn't, he only owns the 2.23 acre chunk, so he is requesting to rezone his whole tract.
Can you go back to that map?
I can. That area that you see highlighted right there is the entirety of the parcel.
Any other discussion? All in favor of first reading for RZ 2105, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? First reading passes. Ms. Rubin, RZ 2106, 6815 Claremont Lane.
This request is being brought by CDP Sumter 6 LLC. They are the authorized agent. It is a request to rezone 1.99 acres of land from agricultural conservation to neighborhood commercial at 6815 Claremont Lane. It is located on the northwestern corner of the intersection of North Kings Highway and Claremont Lane. It's sandwiched between two different rows of residential development with a farm field to the rear of it. Just south is an existing convenience store and call rental facility. This is how the property appears today. It is completely vacant. It's just a large grassed field. As you can see, it is zoned agricultural conservation. Directly across the street is residential 15. That residential 15 portion is an undeveloped area of a new subdivision that's currently under development. It's the second phase that hasn't commenced infrastructure installation. Normally, 1.99 acres, it's a tenth of an acre shy of being large enough for a standalone zoning area. It's a freestanding area. As you all are aware, OA 2102 is pending. It is on the docket this evening for third reading. So should that ordinance amendment receive third reading, then this request would be compliant with the zoning ordinance. The lot is, again, just a large agricultural field at the moment. The comprehensive land use plan designates this as rural development planning area. It is the intent of this planning area to direct commercial development to major intersections that are supportive of the agricultural development and the low density residential development that happens in our agricultural areas. So it is appropriate in this context to create a small commercial zoning node right at this intersection. Planning Commission did recommend that it is approved provided that OA 2102 gets its third and final reading. We do find that the request is in general alignment with the comprehensive plan, and it is an appropriate location for neighborhood commercial zoning. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Move approval first reading. Second. It's been moved and seconded that we have first reading on RZ 2106. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of first reading? All opposed? RZ 2106, first reading is approved. RZ 2109, Ms. Ruth.
RC 2109 is at 950 and 980 Oswego Highway. This has two addresses and it looks like two separate parcels, but it's actually legally one tract. The applicant is Ms. Wendy Miller as the property owner. They are actually requesting to rezone this 32.11 acres from light industrial warehouse to agricultural conservation. As you can see, it's got a limited amount of road frontage on Oswego Highway. The smaller piece to the north is truncated from the larger tract. It is in an area of light industrial warehouse zoning. This is just a small corner that I believe got zoned that way in 1999 because of the existing pattern of development in the area. These particular two pieces, though, have never had any development on them. They've always kind of retained their agricultural characteristics. It is directly across the street as well from a residential development that has houses in there that range back from the 1920s and 1930s. So there's been residential development in this area for about 100 years. It is the applicant's intent, as you see those two little yellow houses, to build one house on the piece that fronts on Oswego Highway for her daughter and one for herself on the larger tract. She does own the adjacent agricultural fields to the north and to the west. LIW zoning doesn't allow residential development. That is what's necessitating this request. Although you have 32 acres of property, it's not all developable. It is influenced by floodplain and wetlands, which makes the two locations that have been selected for residential development the most ideal places on the property for construction. It is going to be influenced by some light industrial manufacturing uses that are along Oswego Highway, but they will be separated and isolated from those locations. When we look at the comprehensive land use plan, these particular properties are influenced by conservation preservation as well as suburban development. Because of the environmental factors and influences on this property, it is appropriate to rezone it from an intense industrial use to a lower density agricultural conservation or agricultural zoning designation. Planning Commission does recommend approval of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Ms. Rubin, can you go back 2 slides?
Yes.
Thank you. On the proposed dwelling on the large piece, it looks like there's a lot of wetlands.
Mhm.
How are you proposing to get to that?
Ms. Miller will probably attest to this in the public hearing, but that actually came up at planning commission. She actually has a legal driveway that has already been established and a farm road that goes between that adult daycare and the mattress warehousing facility that goes all the way back up to that corner.
Move approval first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have first reading on RZ 2109. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of first reading approval? All opposed? First reading for RZ 2109 is approved. Third reading for RZ 2101.
Just to bring you back up to speed, the original request was to rezone 6.4 acres. It was two separate pieces of property split by Herman Street, which is an unbuilt right-of-way. The planning commission recommendation was to only rezone the property that fronts on Thomas Under Highway, leaving that back portion residential, and that is the motion that council made at the last meeting to only rezone the 4.63 acres at the front.
Move for approval. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve third reading for RZ 2101. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, RZ 2101 third reading is approved. RZ 2102.
Again, the original request was to rezone this 0.91 acres from AC to general commercial. Planning commission recommended rezoning this tract of land to limited commercial in lieu of general commercial. The applicant was agreeable to this request, and it's my understanding that that is the motion that got second reading approval.
Move for approval. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading for RZ 2102. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Third reading for RZ 2103.
There have been no changes to
Move
this
for approval.
request.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve third reading for RZ 2103. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Third reading for RZ 2103 is approved. Ordinance Amendment 2102, third reading.
There have been no changes to
Move
this
for
request.
approval. Second.
Been moved and properly seconded that we approve ordinance Amendment 2102. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Third reading for ordinance Amendment 2102 is approved.
My work here is done.
Okay, come down now to committee reports, Mr. Dixon, on the budget workshop.
Yes, sir, thank you. Mr. Chair, I won't go into a great deal of details. We just covered about an hour. But I would, for the record, like to announce that the budget workshop took place today. And at this point in the process, Finance Administration has presented a budget request of revenues of $51,171,709, with expenses at $51,715,024, with a deficit at this time of $543,315. Also, our next budget workshop will be next Tuesday, the 20th. At that time, we will have elected officials that would like to come and present, and those that are requesting additional personnel to come and present at our next meeting. So, again, this is a budget process. For those of you who weren't here earlier, this will be a lengthy process. It takes approximately 2 months to go through the entire budget process. Number of meetings with county council. There are a couple of items that we know we'll have to address that have not been addressed in this budget as of yet. One being the litter program, and there was another. Oh, the new employees requests have not been addressed in this budget at this time. So, with the direction of council, staff will then make the appropriate changes. So again, very fluid process. Our directive, by law, is to have a balanced budget by the end of June to go into effect on July 1. So that's our process. That's all I have, sir, for budget.
What time will that budget committee?
That's not been determined yet. Depends on what other meetings may be necessary by council.
Thank you for your report, Mr. Nixon. Come down to any report from council members.
I'm gonna wait, want me to wait to give this report I usually give? Or give it now? I'll be glad to do it.
This is your turn.
Thank you, sir. As you know, I've been very concerned about the number of veterans that are dying in Sumter County. And, numbers keep going up and up. Since our last meeting, 11 more veterans have died. This brings a total of 88 veterans that have died in the last 127 days. And I started my count on December the 8th, 2020. COVID cases, we have positive cases of 10,188, increase over the last 21 days of 197 cases. That's 9.4 new cases a day. COVID deaths, 197, increase of 7. Again, I want to reiterate that Sumter County has one of the highest rates per population of veterans in South Carolina due to the military installations here. And again, I'm going to recommend that this council rather, pass a mandatory mask mandate. But I did a little more studying and I asked for some help from our election commission. And I said, I wonder how many people in this county are covered with a mask mandate that are represented by the members sitting on this body. Because I don't think the citizens realize that this body represents all of the citizens of Sumter County, not just the ones that live out in the county area, but we also represent the citizens that live inside the city limits. So we have districts that we cover where the majority of the population in those districts are already covered by the city mask mandate, but yet we are voting against the other people in the district to have that same, I guess, coverage as the other people have, that same safety net. For instance, in District 6, almost 9,000 of the elected, of the registered voters in that district are in the city limits. So therefore, they are covered by the mandatory mask mandate. In District 4, we have almost 7,000 registered voters that live in the city limits, and they are already covered by the mask mandate. So we're looking at these districts and saying, why do some of our constituents that we represent have coverage by a mandatory mask mandate, which has been proven to help to reduce the rate of covert cases, diseases, and deaths in a district or in an area. So again, it don't make sense to me why we as members of this body want to say to the constituents that we represent, you are covered by the mask mandate, God bless you, but I'm not going to give this coverage to you because you don't live in the county, you live across the street from the people who live in the city. That's what we're doing. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Baden, I appreciate your persistence, and I appreciate it. The fact of the matter is, we don't have the votes to pass the ordinance, and I don't think that we're going to have the votes for it. And I especially appreciate the fact that you're concerned about the veterans, and I think so is everybody up here as far as veterans are concerned. Now, I have gotten with our Veterans Affairs manager, and we are going to be putting on a veterans-only vaccination date. We had it set up with Roy Flynn from Cut Rate Drugstore. Well, initially it was set up with the Veterans Affairs out of Columbia, but they canceled it because they didn't have the vaccines. I had Miss Valerie get in contact with Roy Flynn from Cutlery Drugstore, and he had agreed to do it. But now, as of today, they have backed off on administering the Johnson & Johnson or Janssen vaccine, which was a one-shot deal. So now that has gone haywire. I'm going to be contacting Toomey Hospital to see about setting up a veterans-only day at the Civic Center, because they have the vaccinations to do it. So we would appreciate your contacts with the veterans and the different veterans affairs officers. And once we determine what date it is, then we would encourage all veterans to come get shots on that day. So I just wanted to bring that out because we've been working with Ms. Valerie in order to do that.
I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the veterans in this county, people who have given their heart disease, diabetes, prostate cancer, high blood pressure, which puts them at a greater risk than other citizens in the county. And again, like I said, we have such a large veteran population in this county that I just can't understand why we can't get the votes, especially when people who are voting against it have half of their population already covered by a mask mandate. That don't make sense.
Let me correct you on one thing. You mentioned District 6, that's my district.
And you voted for it, and I greatly appreciate you voting for it. And I thank you for it. But I don't want to call names because I don't want to get there. But I'm just saying, it just don't make sense that half of the people we represent, over 27,000 people that we represent, are covered under the city mask mandate. And why we want to deny that same safety to the other people we represent. I just can't understand that. But, you know, I'm concerned because, number one, I'm a veteran. Number two, I have these underlying conditions. And number three, it is disproportionately affect black people, and I'm a black person. So I have three reasons why I want to see people have a mandatory mask mandate in this county. So, you know, I guess, you know, well, you know who's leading us, who once led us, and you know how he felt about the mask mandate. So I guess that's an impact on a lot of people. And if they want to risk their lives, which he had all the protection in the world, that when he caught the virus, he had 9 doctors around him. A lot of people don't have that. So let's be realistic. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to say this as well. We've got the county. The county has given to Toomey Prisma Health the use of the Civic Center to do COVID vaccinations. We have offered up all of our rural community centers, and we're working with DHEC to get vaccinations out to the rural areas. So we need to be working with getting shots in arms as well. You know, that's the one true way to get past this pandemic, is to get shots in arms. So I would encourage everyone within the sound of my voice, if you haven't gotten your vaccinations yet, go to the Civic Center. You're taking walk-ins. Every day, there's not a whole lot of people getting vaccinations. So go get your shots, and let's encourage the veterans and everybody else in the county to get shots. We have the availability to do it, so let's get that done as well.
Let me just clear up something. You mentioned about the vaccine by Johnson & Johnson, and we must say that CDC pulled it off and said not to use it because they had 6 cases of people getting blood clots, and they felt that it was dangerous for them to continue to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So that's why that was pulled off, and the people who were scheduled to get it, that's why they
Monthly reports, Ms. Brandon.
Yeah. Excuse me. I had the COVID report up earlier, but I'll pull it back up again. And just a second. That's the COVID report, so that administrator's report is in the packet. Also in the packet is the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office report. And additionally, Mr. Nixon may have mentioned this, or someone from Mr. McCain, I should say, that there is dates, and Mr. Nixon can go into that further. You want to? Just a second. I have the Adjustment Board of Zoning Appeals that will be scheduled, and that's tomorrow if any council members are interested in attending that, and I'll put this vaccination schedule back up.
Can you email that to us, that document to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mixon, you wanna talk about it, or?
I can include that in my administrative report, if that's okay, sir.
Yeah.
Just quickly, and I thank Mary for pulling this together. What we wanted to show the community was that we're doing all we can to make sure that the access to the vaccine is as easy as possible. Chairman McCain mentioned our partnership with Toomey at the Civic Center. They are doing 200 to 300 shots a day there. It's very easy. Walk in, you don't have to have an appointment. They're taking walk-ins in a matter of 15 to 30 minutes, you're in and you're out. So it's very easy there, but we also recognize that not everybody has access to the Civic Center. We have rural pockets in our community where people don't have access to downtown Sumter. So we have developed a true partnership, and I want to thank Ms. Dennis, if she's not here now. Ms. Dennis has been coordinating that along with Mr. Eric Hayes, the Emergency Management Office, with primarily DHEC and MUSC. Those have been the primary providers in the rural parts of the state, and particularly here in Sumter. So anytime they request a date, we make it available somewhere. So there's plenty of opportunities. I think in the report I saw this a few minutes ago, roughly 31% of folks living in Sumter have had at least one dose of the vaccine. So I think that's a good rate, but we can certainly do better, and we've got to do better, and we'll continue to do our part as county government to make sure this access is there. So that's, again, that's all I'll say about that piece of it. I want to touch briefly, if I could, too, about the litter effort. And we had a little bit of a conversation in our budget meeting, and I know that there's going to be a lot more conversation in future budget meetings. But we've been, as a staff, trying to gather as much information as we possibly can so we can present good information to council. So we went to a troubled area, and many of you may have gotten photos of this one area off of Berry Street. Very disturbing photos. I don't believe I've seen anywhere else in Sumter that looked quite like that. So we went there with our full team, and we tried to test a couple of pieces of equipment that we might be able to duplicate somewhere else. We knew this was pretty much one of the worst scenarios, but we wanted to look at it and see what we could do. So we moved some staff and equipment over there, first with the big vac unit that we have actually in our stormwater division. It's a large vacuum truck that will actually, it has a tremendous amount of suck on a big hose, and a good extension. The problem with it is as it was sucking up, it was pulling up a lot of the vegetation and clogging up the whole unit. So we weren't, it was a very, very slow process to move all this trash. And I wish we had pictures of it, because it would really tell the story. The second thing we did, we actually brought up the big excavator. And we've got a large excavator that we use for a number of county projects, got a large bucket on it. We used it, and sure enough, we were able to get to it and pick up a lot of the trash, but there was so much water in this ditch along with the trash. The water was actually flowing the trash out almost as fast as we could pick it up. So we recognize that probably has an application, but maybe in a drier situation. Then we have what we call the mini excavator, much smaller than the big excavator, but it had a bucket on it that actually had holes drilled in it, and the intention was to go into water. And that was probably the most successful piece of tool that we used, equipment, I should say, not tool, equipment at that site, and it was able to get the majority of it. But still, after all that was said and done, we still had to use manual labor next, and then when we bring up later, we're gonna show you some good before and after pictures, and I know some of it's already out on social media. Mr. Perry, our communication director, has done a wonderful job going around and taking pictures of these things as they were in process. We've also had access to a crew that we had already paid for to work on some of our stormwater stuff, and we have targeted the county recycle centers. And for any of those that live in the county and have been around these recycle centers know what a problem that is. And it has really made a huge difference, particularly in some of the, Kane Savannah for one was probably one of the worst that I know of. That was one of the first ones we targeted. So we've targeted these locations and they've actually hit all the recycle, I think almost all the recycle centers now. But we're about to run out of time with those crews. So I say all that and I don't mean to type any more time. There's a lot of work going on. We're looking at all the different processes so that we can determine what the most feasible and economical way to try to address it. There's no substitute for the public's involvement, getting the community engaged. And of course, there's a whole other educational component that we just got to stop throwing the trash out of here. It's going to take another effort. But again,
they also, the sheriff's department Saturday, correct?
Yes.
7 to 12 pickup.
that's right.
And the cat team and a few deputies that I know personally arrived with are going out Saturday and they're asking for help, I think, from the general public as well. They're targeting several routes. I don't know if that was mentioned tonight, but might be something that we might be interested in as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bird. Yes, there's a big community effort, community-wide. There are a number of different programs going on for over the next month. I think there's targeted dates. I think it's part of the Keep America Beautiful program that they're actually pushing this nationally. But the state of South Carolina has brought on another effort as well as, again, our community. And great, yeah, sheriff, along with some other departments. The highway department's already been out on part of the road. The city of Sumter had a crew out on Broad Street as well. But it's going to take everybody doing a little bit where we can get in front of this thing. But I just wanted to let you know these are some of the things that we've been doing as your staff. And again, it's purely evaluating the resources that we currently have, and if there's other resources where we're efficient, we're going to try to address that as well.
That is the picture of Berry Street as
Yes.
it was. I went there today, and I have some pictures of before and after. That waterway, that ditch is now clear. There's not a bottle, there's not a piece of paper, there's not anything in that ditch right now. I just hope it stays that way. That's just part of it. There was another section as you go around the corner, and it was just
I want to thank you, Gary, for your attention to this area. The resident there called me and I contacted you and you was a man of your word. You went out there and helped them out and I greatly appreciate it. So I hope, like I said, like Sheriff said, to stay that way, but we're just going to have to emphasize a lot about litter in this county. But thank you for you then pass that on to Eddie Newman and his staff, please.
Thank you. And I will say this, there were a number of citizens that live in that area that came up to our crews, came up and thanked us for what we were doing. Truly, I don't believe the ones we taught were responsible for this trash. But again, it takes all of us working together. If something else shows up like that, we can't let it build at this point. We got to stay on top of it. That's pretty much all I have to say with that.
This makes me may say next Saturday, I think it's the 17th. This litter pickup day in Sumter. So if you have any groups, there are a lot of groups that have been signing up on the website for City of Sumter to pick up trash. I'm a member of several neighborhood associations. We've got our groups together. I encourage you to do the same. It's going to be a team group effort in order to fix this problem. So if you've got any groups, next Saturday is the litter pickup day in Sumter where everybody can get involved. We're going to fix this problem.
I think there's a lot of churches, I know mine, that say we pick the road that we're gonna do, so I think it's working, get the public involved.
At the sheriff's department, I'm going throughout the whole county, so groups can register with the sheriff's department as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dixon. Come now to the public comments section of our agenda. Any citizens desiring to speak, please proceed to the podium. Please address council. There'll be no interaction back and forth. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name for the record. I now declare the public comment section open. Anyone wishing to?
Mr. McKinney, ask him to spray the, mic once again, away from the computer.
There's a little spray bottle up there, Mr. Watkins. Just spray the mic
Before,
Oh.
before. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, County Council. My name is Louis Watkins. I live in Sumter County. And regarding the garbage, the trash being picked up, I've been advocating for a central complaint number, a telephone number. And I know that county have a app on the computer program, but the public is being left out of a lot of the decision making. I'll say, just lack of another word, but a general complaint number where everybody would be able to know this number. It can be publicized. They can call in, and this information can be channeled to the administrator's office, and it can be a part of the whole process. I mean, even with the meeting, I've been told that ordinances don't require a public hearing, and it only requires 2 readings.
That's the city.
City.
That's the city, not the county.
Well, what I'm saying is that even with the ordinances, the public is not involved in the decision-making process. There's no public hearing, like with the mask mandate. We're not allowed to speak on the mask mandate. The county decides what they want to do, and that's the end of it. There's no public hearing. If you have a public hearing where the public can come out and speak in favor or against, I think that's one of the things that should be done. So, but my main concern too is that the public have very little input in these meetings. Almost no input. And even the agenda, when you read the agenda, it don't give you any concrete information. The information that you guys have, we don't have. We don't have anything, the description of what the property is being used for, and we know that people are requesting that these items be on the agenda, and for what reason? So I'm just saying that I think the public participation needs to be improved by the council. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Mr. Goodley?
Yeah, Johnny Goodley. I live on 207 Alexander Place. The city limits, like, that go there from my property. So my property actually touched city limits, but I live in the county. One thing I like to say is that the council is on the vaccination problem that we got. I mean, y'all say this, walk in to the city center, but nobody knew that. I don't see it in that written down nowhere say we can walk into the city center. I get the newspaper every day. I don't see it in there. I mean, so how are we supposed to know that we can walk into the city center and get a vaccination if nobody's telling us that? And that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Mr. Goodley.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Brittany Martin. I'm the founder of Big Sisters United organization. We're a nonprofit 501c3. Simba is our president of our organization. We're a newly founded organization here in Sumter, and we are flourishing, so fast. Faster than I can even about keep up with. I'm a chef, an executive chef. I got a team of chefs with me. What we do is we cater other nonprofit organizations, so like churches, let's say they have an anniversary dinner or something like that. We would cater that for free. The main base thing of what we are attacking in our organization is the hunger problem here and also the homelessness problem. We came up with a great solution for the homelessness. We just need the churches of our community to work with us. We believe we got 3 churches on board with us. We need 4 more. Mr. Arthur, are you a pastor?
No, I am not.
Okay. I heard you say the church earlier, so I was just wondering.
He looks like it. He does kind of have that pastoral look. Yeah.
And, well, like I said, I'll tell you the plan about the homelessness later, because I only got a few minutes. But what we do right now, every week, we feed our community. I'm talking about everyone, not just the helpless right now, for everyone, for free. Soul food dinners every weekend. On Friday, that's every Saturday. Every Friday, God has blessed us with access to an organization that blesses us with as much food as we can handle. This past weekend we did 500 boxes, and these boxes come with chicken, potatoes, onions, oranges, hot dogs. They even come with like cleaning supplies, different stuff.
It's basically a 32-pound grocery box.
Yes, and we are access to this every week. So today we just went into partnership with U-Haul. So they're gonna help us as far as transporting, it weekly. But like I said, our biggest thing, the hunger side of things, we got that. What I'm asking for our community is we want to build a shelter. And I'm talking about straight from, I want to purchase some land. We want to build it from scratch. The biggest soup kitchen in South Carolina is my goal. So whatever we need to do, whatever resources you guys have that can help us with this goal, I would really appreciate that, because I'm tired of seeing people out here laying in the streets. It was just really, really cold this winter. And then another thing is just too many pastors around here, too many churches that have this problem. So I'm gonna give it to my partner.
Again, my name is Rashad Hilton, president of this Mixed Sisters United organization. Again, just piggybacking off what my sister was saying, that we essentially just trying to eradicate homelessness and hunger. Again, like what she's saying, we have a program that's currently every Friday we're giving out 32-pound grocery boxes. Every Saturday we're implementing home cooked meals. So essentially, we have 3 churches that's down with the program. We essentially need 4 more. Essentially, the program is ensured that we can get 7 pastors, 7 buildings to be fully committed to house homelessness for one day. Then essentially we can eradicate homelessness for the week, which would precipitate until the next week and the next week. So essentially, the reason why we come before y'all is to, if you know any genuine pastors, anyone who is really trying to seriously eradicate homelessness and seriously eradicate, hunger, please, we can leave our information with you guys, or if you want to provide us any information that's needed, that'll be grateful as well. Again, it's not a color thing, it's not a class thing, we feed, everyone, so again, we just come to you guys genuinely and just ask that you just point us in the right direction. You can handle this thing wholeheartedly. Thank you again, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Ms. Martin and Mr. Hilton.
I was trying to use this last minute to explain the program with the pastor. So if we do get the pastor, for my brother make a say, each pastor would use just one day. So one day we're just asking for the pastor just to open up their doors. We will provide the staff, we'll provide the food, we'll provide the bedding, we'll provide everything else. We just need the space until we get our establishment built.
Your primary in the city limits, I'm sorry. Is that what we're talking about? I mean, in the city area?
Well, I live in a county, like our organization is actually, our address is county. But, I mean, we're mainly, we mainly work in the city.
That's where most of them are congregated.
Yes, sir, that's what we find them at, but, you know, like I said, this is for everyone who is in need.
Come see me after the meeting, I got somebody on.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone is wishing to address council? Seeing none, the public comment section is now closed.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded.